Nerd Soul.
Lay ill kid at OneYoungsta, holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Let's go. We got evil, y'all. You best believe that. Oh yeah, because we about to get climactic or anticlimactic up in here. But before we start, I gotta give a shout out to the cinematic sorcerer, Solar Gray. What's up?
Hey, what is going on, everybody? I'm Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, and I'm coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. And yeah, let's have a little talk about our good friend Lou.
Oh, good old Lou. Lou ain't never hurt nobody. You know, just out there just living his life. All right, so all right, you know what? I'll start here. Let's go on and talk about Sheryl for a second. Sheryl said she had one rule. Girl. Even Leland had to be like, come on, man.
What did you think we were doing here?
He was like, I'm a demon. What you mean? Come on. Also, even though I was hyped at the end of last episode, it was kind of anticlimactic because she said she was going to cut off a certain area and that area wasn't cut.
Well, all right. You know what? I got to disagree with you on that.
I need my pound of flesh. Also, some of the worst first aid I've seen in my life. But, Solar Gray, please go ahead.
I mean, you know, some people talk a big game. I don't know if you ever tried to throw down with somebody thinking that, well, you're so mad you want to throw down and you think that your anger is going to carry you through it. And then you realize, oh, wait, I don't know how to fight.
Oh, then you get stabbed. Then like, hold up.
You know, that's all it was. You know, she was mad. She was mad. You know,
Mike Tyson said everybody has a plan till they get hit.
Uh-huh. And that was exactly it, you know? Because, yeah, when he was like, oh, Sheryl, no. And then he picked up that piece of glass. I'm like, they're not going to kill them both off like this. Not like this.
Not like this.
You know, so I thought it was a really good way to put stuff together. Okay. I was down with it. Now, in regards to Sheryl, I honestly am starting to think that she's realizing the real cost of what she's done. In the words of Bowie and The Prestige, not the price, the cost.
Ah, okay. I see where you're going. Go on, break it down for those people that might not know.
Well, see, she sold her soul for youth. That is what she did. She sold her soul because she's too vain to get old. And you know what? All right, cool. You know, do what you're going to do. But once she joined this whole thing of, you know, how can I put this? The rule was leave her granddaughters out of this.
All right.
But it's cool to steal her daughter's eggs. Cool to haunt the house.
Yeah.
Cool to kidnap the husband.
True.
You know? So I'm 100% with Leland with the, what did you think this was? You know? Because it's one, worst mother ever.
Yeah, she's probably top bad mom in America right now.
Yeah, I mean she's trash. Total trash. Because again, oh, I'll sell out my own kid, but don't touch the grandbabies. Like, what did your daughter do?
Also, you realize that your grandbaby's mental health and stability, a large part of that is their parents being with them and alive. I mean, at least when they're supposed to. I understand when your parents grow up, they're like 92 or something. I get it, but they're young and supposed to be there right now.
Yeah, and you know, and not say locked up in a closet while your boyfriend drains them and dopes them up.
Yeah. So like, hypnotizes them with some kind of Feliz Navidad song.
Trash, all trash. Just garbage. So I'm not gonna lie, Leland is one of my favorite antagonists on TV right now, so I'm glad that he didn't go out like that. You know,
Yeah, I feel you.
I mean, that actor is just killing it right now between this and Fallout and, Lost and Person of Interest. I'm like, all right, this dude needs all the work ever.
But that Sheryl boy, man, I agree. It's tough to make me agree with Leland, but I agree with Leland. I'm like, come on, girl, come on now.
Yeah, it's like,
you know what we've been doing.
We're
full evil, like it.
Giving birth to the Antichrist with your daughter's stolen eggs. Oh, that's fine.
We're literally like top-notch evil. Like now, one thing that is good to see every now and then is villains that hate each other.
Oh yeah.
There's a passing statement where Vandal Savage and Malafa'ak are in it's the animated movie based on Tower of Babel. But anyway, Vandal Savage, he's talking about, of course, he's always grandiose and everything. He's basically like Doom. And he says, like, I'm immortal or something like that. And Malafa'ak looks over his shoulder like, I know you believe that to be true. And I was like, oh! So I like when villains kind of give each other a little, look, I can find a way to kill you. But anyway, this episode was good in that sense because she took all of his youth, serum or whatever, then, stabbed him, then took all the recordings of Kristen. And she tore up that real good painting. I know that's not no paint. He didn't get that painting from Home Goods, all right?
Yeah.
That painting was expensive.
I had to give the slow clap on that.
So she did. She didn't take the piece of him, but she did. She hit him where it hurt.
Yeah, in his sleep, in all of his sleep. And yeah, I gotta give that to her because again, what was it? It was like, you tried to kill my granddaughter only to let Kirsten know she needed a son. It was like, oh, okay, so yeah, you didn't want the baby crying all the time. I'm gonna show you about the baby crying. Oh, that baby gonna cry.
Oh, that baby gonna cry for real. Super for real. But I'll move on. I wanna another moment that I thought was beautiful, just because kids, the sibling snitching was beautiful for me. When they we just came in like, Lynn did this, well, Lala did this. It's like, I'm like, yeah, I've been here, I've seen this. Yes, this is this is natural and it's real.
I have said over and over the course of us reviewing this show, these are the realest daughters I have ever seen written on camera.
Like they are
for real.
Really, I mean, you would if you would have asked me if they were real natural sisters, I'd be like, yeah, of course. Like the way they act is just they are killing it.
Yeah. It's
and
like
also,
she's been lying about going out with her boyfriend. What? Oh yeah.
Like
you broke up with him?
So, and then I love how was it Lexus was like, don't put me in it.
Yeah.
Lex was like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I ain't in this, y'all.
She was like, look,
bad enough I got a tail. I'm just over here.
When she said, don't look at me, that was hilarious. Because there's always the one kid that's like, I don't really get into trouble and I don't have nothing to do. I ain't snitching, I ain't telling, but I don't want to have nothing to do with nothing.
Hey, so this is all on y'all, man. I got my own thing going.
It was awesome, man. Just the kids for a second. And then Lynn forging the mom's signature, I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
Because we got Sister Andrea again.
Okay. Number one, we all know Sister Andrea needs her own show. I ain't gonna front on, because I would watch that all day. But again, it's kids doing what kids do. Because if you say, I never forged my parents' signature, you're a liar.
Oh, I forged my mom's signature so good and got in so much trouble.
Dude, I used to have to do it to buy her cigarettes. And mine.
Oh
It was
man.
the 80s, y'all. All right, I'm old.
But yeah, man, like that it was awesome. And then, we have the resulting, I guess, you know what, since we didn't get a lot of kids in here, I'll say we had the resulting issue with Sister Andrea and Kristen. And it kind of comes to a head sort of with the scene where she's like, "You've been talking to Lynn and you ain't supposed to be talking to Lynn." She's like, I have this slip right here with your signature on it." And
And
then
did
when
you
Kristen is like,
love
when Kristen was like, "You knew that was forged," she was like, "No, I didn't. How am I supposed to? I don't know what your signature looked like."
Yeah, and don't you love how when Kristen was going off, Andrea was like la 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 la
Yep.
la contract.
She was like, "Oh, I can't hear you from over here."
Yeah.
And then also the BS gets called on Kristen from Ben because he said, "So you're angry because Lynn is sneaking out to learn about being a nun instead of getting pregnant?" And
Yeah.
she was like, "Shut up."
Yeah, seriously.
And then
No,
later
your daughter
on,
is lying. Your daughter is lying about going out with her boyfriend to go to church.
yeah, and then
Is that it?
and then you have the moment where she's like, you can come, but talking to, I think she was talking to Lila at the time, saying she can come over, but she wants to make sure that Lynn gets both sides of the argument. And here's where she gets in trouble. Your girls are getting to the age, everybody, you know it, I know it, we all know it. Everyone gets to the age where you start to see your parents BS, unless your parents never, unless your parents never or rarely BS'd you. But she getting to the point where it's like, all right, hold on. When it was just your argument that there is no God, blah, 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 we didn't need both sides. Now that someone's coming in saying that there is God and stuff, and now all of a sudden we need both sides of the argument, come on now, mom. And see, normally you could get away with that when your kids were 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Now your kids are 15 and 16, or I guess Lynn is 14. Something. Lynn's,
Yeah, 13 or 14.
That height,
more
I
likely.
don't know. At that height, you could be 13 or 16. I don't, I don't know. But
Either way,
they're getting old enough to see, hey, mom, you lying, or
mhm.
you ain't doing what you said. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, it, she
And
she gotta she gotta be real with her daughters.
and the conversation that she had with Andrea regarding that
Hmm.
was as much as we talk about other shows and we're here to talk about a show that we're reviewing, I got a quote fallout on that.
Okay.
Where when what's her name cut off old boy's finger and he cut off hers, and he's like, now that's the closest thing to a fair exchange we've had so far.
Wow.
You know? And see, here's the thing. I get where Kristen's coming from, but only because I watch the show and am not part of the show.
Yeah. And see,
Yeah.
me, here's why I don't get where Kristen's coming from. I mean, I know how Kristen is as a person, but even though she's not a religious person or doesn't want to be involved in religion or whatever, at least you know that Sister Andrea has never shown herself to be like disrespectful, none of that stuff. So you can be kind of mad at your daughter, but Sister Andrea has never been cross to you, to David, to no one. Everything that you've seen about her has been exemplary. You might say, I don't believe that she sees demons, but she's never been a disrespectful person. She's never been a crass person. She's never been. So for her to come off on Sister Andrea like she did, I was like, girl, deflate that a little bit.
Yeah, she did need to take about 20% off, but I'm not gonna call it Karen behavior because everybody does it. All right, it's being mad at something bigger than you or anybody else and taking it out on the person you got access to.
Mhm.
I like that they brought up the episode with the cask where
Okay.
she met that nun. And she straight said everything that made that nun her and made that nun beautiful, the church and the men took away from her. And I'm like, you know what? That's a fair argument. And Andrea definitely commented, yeah, that's a fair argument. However, there's another side to it, you know, with the maybe the joy that some people feel comes from serving others.
Yeah.
It's not just about independence. And, you know, if your viewers hadn't gotten this, I am a radical feminist. Sorta.
He said sorta.
Sorta. Because it doesn't just stop at women. I'm radical about freedom. I'm radical about choice.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm from that old school of feminism. Feminism means that women should have a choice in what they do with their lives, meaning they shouldn't have to work all the time. They shouldn't have to be away from their families. At the same time, they shouldn't have to be in the kitchen. They should have just as much of a choice as anybody else in the way they live their adult lives, especially since they get all the responsibility for it. Call me crazy. And the whole patriarchal structure that the Catholic Church absolutely has, I can see why it rubs Kristen the wrong way.
Yeah.
But she does, and I it might be the writers doing the straw man of leftism with the whole idea of, well, this person believes in women's rights, therefore they don't want women to do anything they used to have to do, even if they choose it. It's the old 7 of 9 problem.
Okay.
You know, we've released you from the Borg. You're free. You can live whatever life in the universe that you want. Okay, I want to go back to the Borg. Except that. You know.
I feel you on that one.
Yeah.
And it's because the issue that Christian is bumping up against is an issue that religion I can't say in general because I don't know every single religion. I mean, even to know it, you would have to actually like grow up in it and practice it and be around, but still
at least study it.
The issue she's coming up with is a people issue where people try to make man God. Your issue actually isn't with God. God didn't do nothing. You're talking about people acting as if they are God or making their word the word of God instead of actually going from what the actual book that they say they supposed to be reading is telling them, or at least trying to interpret it in a way that seems natural. But
see, I'm gonna be devil's advocate on that, in the sense of, yeah, it is a people problem, but with the whole God thing, and this is kind of an atheist argument, also kind of a maltheist argument. God didn't do it, but God isn't stopping it. And that whole pitch of all powerful.
In a show like this, you can make that argument on anything, though.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It comes against the problem of evil that Zack Snyder's Lex Luthor brought up, which is, since bad things happen in the world, God can either be not all powerful or not all good. Because if God was all good, then bad wouldn't happen. Not that bad wouldn't exist, but bad wouldn't happen to the undeserving. And if God had the power to stop it and didn't, that would make God evil. And if God doesn't have the power to stop it, then God isn't all powerful. So that's where the two of them kind of clash. And that's what characters like Kirsten come against all the time. Where Ben takes it from a philosophical and a cultural standpoint.
Yeah. And like Ben, boy, you know what?
Can we pour one out for him, man?
This is a pretty big episode for Ben too, because Ben
You were so close to making a clock joke. You should have just gone for the
Yeah,
clock.
I know, but Ben is just he's dealing with a lot,
Yes.
and for him to know that he's seeing the jinn, and then come home, Jesus Renee is moving into his house. Oh, don't think I forgot that she's Jesus as well. Or at least she done told everybody she is, and she got a whole cult that be chilling with her. She done moved in, and one of the funniest parts of his whole storyline this episode is when he calls his sister. He says, "I'm seeing a jinn," and her response is, "Continue."
Right.
Oh man,
Like, go on.
because she was like, "Continue," like almost like, I know I didn't hear that out of your mouth.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. Because remember, those siblings are the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
His sister is rather devout, and I gotta give it up to her, man. Seriously. And he's very like, nope. It's got to be a scientific explanation, blah blah blah. So when he's like, oh, by the way, there's a jinn in my head. Oh, really? Coming from you? Nice. Okay, I'll bite.
And also seeing all of the way, I guess the jinn is making him act in different ways, or I mean, we're guessing because we haven't really seen a scene where the jinn makes him do something. But I mean, this dude is singing and everything, like "Baby Come
Baby,
Back,"
come back.
and it, moving people in, all kinds of stuff, and it is not, it is not in any way.
Now, you said you were going to get some scented candles. Could you show me that message?
Because he's like, I'm not trying to be mean, but I really don't remember this. And when she showed him the video, I think we as the audience, as well as him, were like, excuse me? We were like, hey, we're not mad at the song choice, but when did this happen?
Yeah. And see, that was an interesting thing. I looked at that scene and I'm like, okay, so that is what you see. And I hope he does call her out on the Jesus thing. Because it's like, all right, you saw me, you did that, and you know what? That video, I'm not going to say I did it, but I cannot say it is not real. But check out my phone. You see, I didn't record that video. So I must have got hacked. You feel me?
Yeah, because we're going to have to run down this information somehow, because I don't even know when this is happening.
Yeah, because I went into detective mode on that point myself. I'm just like, okay, so he's got that. He's dealing with those things, and he's willing to believe that there is a jinn. So good for him. Now, what I learned from some really good friends of mine is that jinn are looked at differently in Muslim culture than demons are looked at in American culture.
Yeah.
So when he told his sister, hey, I'm seeing a jinn, her disbelief wasn't at the fact that, or it wasn't in him mentioning a jinn. It was the fact that he is mentioning a jinn.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're all over the place in the Quran. You know,
it's like
some are
you
good,
of all
some are
people.
bad, but yeah.
It's like you of all people.
Yeah. Versus jinn aren't real. No, in Mediterranean Abrahamic Muslimism, we're talking the Arabic culture. From what I understand, please correct me in the comments, but from what I've been told by my Arabic friends, and I don't know if they were joshing me, because I tend to believe my friends when they tell me stuff. No, I mean, they're there. They're not automatically written off as demonic. They don't, that culture does not vilify the supernatural in the same way that Western Christianity does. And it was really a smart move for the writers to include that.
Yeah, and they've been kind of going along on this ride for a minute, and since we have, I don't know, like 7 episodes or something left, I think we might see a decent resolution to that, maybe.
That is a possibility.
Go
So do
ahead.
we want to talk about the case?
Yeah.
Because I got an MVP for this episode.
Okay, all right, so let's go in and get into the train engineer, the engineer that doesn't make any money. Oh man, when he said that, I was like, "That's cold, man." I'm sure you make a little bit of cheese, but I guess not the money that I think people think he's making.
Well, when people hear engineer, they think high technology, and those jobs tend to start at 120.
Yeah,
The engineer that he's at, 50.
yeah, it's
And they're in New York.
Yeah, it's tough.
So
But-
50 in New York, he can't afford rent.
Nah,
As,
And-
as long
when we
as
meet
he
him-
shows up to work every night and stays over 30 points.
yeah, and when we meet him, he's shook.
Oh, yeah.
When we meet him, he's like, "Look, there's this certain stretch of track," and I love how they bring this case together because none of us are even thinking about Kristen's house when he's talking about it. We're thinking, because you had the haunted highway and all this stuff, so none of us are even thinking about Kristen's house.
At the pig farm,
Yeah, we're none of this. The first thing from our minds, and he's talking about the girl, the prom dress, and seeing people lay down on the track all the time in this certain section, and he just has to ride over them and he's killing them, and Kristen's like, "You're not killing them," stuff like that. So he's definitely
And he's
He
like,
is-
no,
he's
really, I am. That's part of the job they don't tell you about. And not until you got it. And it sucks.
he's like,
I've killed 4 or 5 people.
he's like, he's at his wit's end. And when we stopped the train and when they looked down, I was like, "Is that Kristen's house?" I was almost like,
knew
dude,
it
I was
was.
like, "Is that Kristen's house?"
I'm like, that's Kristen's backyard. They still
was
haven't
like-
finished the construction.
I was like, "Ain't that something?"
And
Now-
I'm like, oh. And the thing was, as soon as I saw that it was Kristen's backyard, it clicked. Because Andrea said, doing the small exorcism she did was like putting up a tent to get the roaches out of your house. They just run next door.
Yeah.
And equating the demons to vermin. Okay. I'm from the hood, y'all. And I don't care how clean you keep your house. If you live in the hood, you've had to deal with roaches and mice. Okay,
Yeah, because
it's happened. It's just
it's
like living in the
because-
country.
it's because in most situations in the hood, you're gonna have some house somewhere that's derelict and it's abandoned or something like that. So what's gonna happen is that house is gonna end up being a nest for mice, cats, whatever,
Exactly.
roaches, stuff like that. And if that house is close enough to yours, they
Like on
go,
the same
they
block.
go out looking for food.
And that's the thing. The demons that are in Kristen's house coming up from the bat hole.
Oh boy.
And
We'll get
living-
into that later.
Yeah, and living in the add-on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they gonna spill out onto the street. And I really gave the writers a slow clap when they introduced Lou the Demon.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is good. This is because definitely showing that house is seriously infested, and given
That
the
house-
fact that it's got the demon hole or the bat hole,
yeah,
it was the severed head in the toilet.
yeah. We've had so
Sheryl.
much in this house. We almost need to like
Burn it down.
we almost need
Rebuild
to
it?
exercise the whole block.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because of the neighbor as well with the Amazon Prime dude.
Yep. So the trained engineer is not. We find out at least from David's standpoint because he sees Lou. So, but once again, he sees Lou and says nothing to Ben. Do not get me started. I'm tired of these people not talking to each other. But and
Okay,
then also,
in all fairness on this one, and I'm gonna be cool on our boy David. For this reason. He saw Lou and he asked, "Hey, you see that?" No. All right, I'll be right back. Okay. So he went, he saw Lou. Lou jumped off the bridge into Kristen's backyard. And he's like, "Oh, come here. Take a look at where we are." And Kristen's backyard then became the main focus.
also
You know,
to David, to Ben, to Kristen, those claw marks on the side of that pillar. I look. First of all, I'm not going to say that I work for Animal Planet or Nat Geo or something, but those ain't animal claw marks. That's something from Pitch Black or something. All right, that's this that. that
hey,
ain't-
those were animals.
oh no, those were full on crazy aliens that be like eating people for no reason. Well, I mean, I guess not for no reason. They be hungry, but still, like, look, those are not regular claw marks, man. All right, who help me
Again.
help y'all?
We see the show, and from Ben's perspective, just because we don't know what animal it is doesn't mean that it wasn't an animal.
All
Yeah.
right, the only animal that could make claw marks like that is not indigenous to New York City.
Does not mean that it wouldn't be in New York, though. I mean,
I guess we
tigers
could
ain't
put out an
indigenous-
APB for like a, I don't know, like a hyper tiger.
Hey, you know what? Lions and tigers ain't indigenous to Florida or Las Vegas, but they're there.
Yes, in very specific zoos in like, I don't know, terrariums or whatever.
Until
Not
a
just on the
crazy
train.
redneck or a Floridian gets across. Much love to Florida, by the way.
Shouts out to the Tiger King. All right. Shouts out to the lady that definitely fed her husband to tigers. I ain't gonna say no names. Hashtag allegedly. Hashtag she definitely did it. All right.
Hashtag stop talking.
but
You know,
now I do like the way the case flowed and the fact that they were able to get that engineer, back to normal, to where he wasn't really experiencing any issues. But the way they had to is something that I thought was awesome, which was Sister Andrea. All right, because they were like, "Yo, we need to do something in your house. We got to do an exorcism." All the girls are like, "Yeah, we want an exorcism."
and
then
bring the
here
nun.
comes Kristen's like, "It's just a placebo." They were like, "Then we want a placebo." And I was like, "Look, see, these ain't kids no more.
Not
They're
from the mouths of babes,
they're
bruh.
kids, but they're not children. They're not babies anymore.
Yeah,
They're
from
not
the
gonna run
mouths
that
of
game. They like,
babes.
Mom, look, I don't care. They're basically like Winston and Ghostbusters. They like, look, I don't know what it is, but I know I done seen something and I don't like it. Can you get the Exorcist here? All right,
Now-
I need a placebo. All right.
Now,
'Cause
what
we
I
done
will,
had bats in here, and now we got this app. We seeing entities and stuff, and then we had that video game with the scary lady, and the eyeballs were still red when I took the glasses off. Look, just bring them here. All right, because we done seen some stuff. We ain't gonna pretend like we ain't seen stuff, Mama. You can
don't
do that,
forget
but we
bats.
ain't.
Don't forget the bats.
Oh yeah, the
Um,
bats.
Now, I gotta give it up. I gotta give Kristen her flowers because she deserves it in one major scene, and of course, it's involving the girls.
Mhm.
We'll get to the phone call later, but yeah, which was, look, kids, all you did was give the writers of that app a tour of our house.
Mm.
I'm like, thank you. You know, that was like a really good PSA about protecting your info. You know,
Yeah.
the whole data broker thing. Because a lot of people are like, oh my God, my information's getting out there, but we don't know how. And this one was like, oh, so wait, you took that app and you ran through the house. Yeah, you gave that app a tour of our house. check your advertisements tomorrow. You'll probably see a bunch of stuff for the house.
Yeah. And then the trip is, I, if I find out that app is made by the girl that made the other app, and then the killer dog, I'm tired of her. All right, that's all I'm saying. Cause this
Oh, her.
but I don't know. We don't. But whoever made that app is
See,
definitely seeing something. And
I'm
why
betting the app was made by a subsidiary of the company that Sheryl works for.
Yeah, probably so. But I
Because,
mean, that plus the scene at the end where all those entities were coming up,
well,
bruh.
we could get to that, but
That was
when
just
the
crazy.
girls
But
were
back to
like,
the
"Are
house.
you gonna hurt us?" And it was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna hurt you." I'm like, "All right, yeah, we'll play." But the real talk, the part that I got to give Kristen her flowers for, is that was a good mother-daughter conversation. That was okay. I get that you're there. I get that you're scared. Let me tell you what this is about. And the explanation is reasonable. You know, and if we weren't watching the X-Files for the supernatural, it would be believable. So I had to give it up for her on that one. I'm like, good writers.
Well,
Show her actually being a mom that isn't neck deep in canned margaritas.
it would be believable if these girls were not in the situation they were in. Like, say if these were girls that had never ever experienced anything supernatural, whatever. We in season 4. These girls done seen some stuff, all right? And they mama be doing. And she even called. She was like, "Well, then, mom, why is your job exorcism and stuff?" She was like, well, I mean, see, nah, these girls.
Well,
these
see,
girls
what
done seen
happened
some
was,
stuff, and they ain't going for it. So I'm like,
know,
look, I'm proud of y'all, little girls. I'm proud of y'all.
yeah. I mean,
Oh man.
now personally, I think remember when we talked about what we thought the season was going to be in regards to who gets what antagonists and who's going to have to confront who?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I really hope the thing with Lexus and Lynn is more like Ilsa and Anna.
Uh-huh.
I think that is where the final scene of this episode really pushed us.
I was wondering about that because I was wondering, I was wondering where you were going, how you were going to see that. So we'll definitely talk about that final scene, but we get another thing that we get to see with Kristen in the house where she's like, I'm gonna get David to come and everything, and she's like, can Sister Andrea come too? Because like she said, Sister Andrea went around the house killing demons. She was like, did you see him? She was like, no, but that don't mean it wasn't there. But when Sister Andrea is talking, the way that Lynn is looking at Sister Andrea, she respects her in a way that
she idolizes her. That is straight up hero worship right there.
Okay. All right. Well, then I think because Kristen was watching Lynn watch Sister Andrea, and I think that Kristen, maybe I'm going too far on this, but I think Kristen wants Lynn to look at her that way, and that's where the real beef lies.
In all honesty, that is.
Or am I reading that wrong?
No, that's a reasonable assessment. Okay. Look, you're a parent.
Like, this is my firstborn. This is my oldest. I want her to, kind of follow my footsteps, kind of thing.
Well, not necessarily follow my footsteps per se, but all right, this is older dad talking to a younger dad. Mm-hmm. All right. Right now you are NERDSoul Light's hero. He looks at you and says, that's my dad. That is how to be a man. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that makes you a better man. Because you're going, oh man, if he's looking at me like that, I best get my act together.
Yeah.
The thing is, that's temporary. There will come a point where he no longer looks at you like that, and he goes out and finds his own heroes. Mm-hmm. He finds new deals. stuff that's more relevant for his time. And that hurts. That hurts a lot. However, we got to remember that we did that too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when my mom found out that I wanted to be an artist versus a scientist or a beautician or a business owner and all that stuff, she was sad. You know, she was not surprised, but she was sad. You know, the day I stopped being my kid's hero tore me up. But it is a really important piece of growth, you know, and it's part of being a parent all the way through. But see, we live in America post 1982. And I say that because 82 was when the family structure fell apart and people started having kids, not because they wanted to be parents, but because they wanted to have children.
That's a whole nother show. But you ain't lying. But that's a whole nother show.
I'm gonna get lit up in the comments this week, and you know what?
You are not wrong. You are not wrong. There's literally video evidence and interviews where you have groups of young girls, unfortunately at that time in the early 80s, saying that they want a little girl, like it's a baby doll. And it's that's a whole nother thing. I won't get into that. There's a whole I would say that there's a whole engineered constructed psychology behind that, but that's a whole nother thing.
If we ever have that show, I am officially requesting Lady Lisa be on the mic for that one as well.
Oh yeah,
I know she's got words.
Yeah, she could definitely talk about that one. But and
she's the only mom between us, so
yeah. And don't get me started. But yeah, with this, the house is such an awesome part because they take their time in this episode. And you have Kristen has her moment with Ben in the house. We have the moment where Kristen makes the cookies for Sister Andrea, which is in a way kind of her way of being like, you know what, I came to you kind of strong and I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? She didn't really say it, but she kind of said it later on when they were downstairs sitting together. And it's awesome how much sort of semi-closure, semi-healing kind of happened in the house while they were also trying to exorcise these issues.
I like to say growth.
Oh yeah, growth. Yeah.
Yeah, that was character growth.
And Sister Andrea, going around the house, calling for the holy water, and Lynn bringing her the holy water. It's just like, wow. And then when she sees the hole, she's like, what's that? And then Kristen says, it's always been there. And she's like, I mean, just like me, I'm like, hold up. Like, so you just left it there? Like you never closed it?
No, there was construction going on in the house, remember?
Yeah, but she said it's always been there. Y'all have had this house for a long time.
And they've had the construction going pretty much since season 1. And the construction workers keep quitting. Remember, all signs point to Sheryl got them that house and it's a subsidiary of that company. So
most likely.
Yeah, so I mean, as a homeowner, I can say, fixing a hole in the wall. So there's this thing, and I go through it with my best friend. Okay, I'm a handyman. I'm also a homeowner. Now, I am not licensed and bonded as a contractor, which means any repairs that I do on my house, I can't claim on insurance. Okay. So like the solution they found with Ben breaking up the wall, if anything happens to that house, Ben doing that could be a cause for the scams that are insurance companies to not pay out. which is why they were dealing with the construction company for all that time. So, fixing a hole, getting your plumbing done, fixing a pipe, all that other stuff. If you are doing it by the book, especially in a place like New York or Los Angeles,
It'll take forever.
uh-huh.
But she goes in the hole and she's like, no, I'm cool on my own. And when she gets down there, Lou's like, oh, you're the one. I was like, oh, snap. Homegirl got some notoriety.
You got a rep down here.
He's like, oh, you the one that can see us. And then when she goes with the holy water, I was like, oh, snap, hold up. The holy water don't work?
Nope.
And it's like, no, down here it don't work. He said, you can't.
Oh, she was in hell.
So I was like, so how far down did she go?
She went to hell. That's where she went. It was a small little corner.
It was a little,
She wasn't going to be able to see the thrones or principalities or anything, but no, she was straight there. Our Our Lady of the Holy Garden Tool literally walked straight into hell with her faith as her shield and made it out with only a burn.
And notice when she was down there and he threatened her, she was like, I'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, I'm going to be okay. She's like, I got God on my side. So regardless what happens, I'm going to be okay. But what I thought was also cool is when she said, we're going to put up the hole. And she was like, now. Like, no, not tomorrow, not next week, now.
Yeah.
And she said, I'll wait here until you do it. And wow.
Yeah, she was being a bouncer. She was doing the job.
And she, you know what? She did what, I can't remember. Who did Jesus take to Gethsemane? James and Paul. I can't. Anyway, he told them basically, look, I'm going to pray. Y'all just stay here and keep lookout. And they kept falling asleep. And I think they fell asleep 3 times. But anyway, she was like, look, I'm staying here. I ain't falling asleep. He's like, you can't stay awake all the time. She was like, oh, yes, I will. She's like, oh, I'm going to stay up. She's
I'll
like, you
stay
gotta
up
worry
for as
about me.
long as it takes. I may not be able to stay up forever, but I can stay up long enough to keep you back there. Oh, and by the way, holy water.
She was like, back up, get across the line.
You ain't getting in this house with them shoes.
But he said, we know about you, the none who can see us. And then he says it won't end well for you. That's when she says, look, I got God on my side. So I love Sis Andrea, man. It's awesome. Like to see her work. And then I think Kristen, even though Kristen doesn't believe, Kristen definitely saw how was it maybe diligent she was about making sure that this hole was closed up. So even if, like, from Kristen's perspective, I don't see anything and it's not real, whatever it represents for her, she was interested enough to make sure she stayed here until this was resolved. That has to mean something to Kristen, and I thought that was dope.
It meant everything. And the fact that Andrea was like, she's a smart kid.
Mm-hmm.
You can quit your BS, but
Mm-hmm.
she can see through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, now we go. Now we got an ally. Yeah, honest. Although, you know who we're not talking about a lot in this episode?
Who?
David.
Oh, say again?
David, the man on the poster.
Oh, no. Oh, we'll get to David in a second. But now, or if you want to drop him now, what's your thoughts on David right
I'm
now?
just marveling at the fact that he was so outshined by everybody.
David, I guess because David had such a big episode last episode, they had to let him chill for a little bit.
Okay. I can see Michael Coulter going, look, that last one took a lot out of me.
Because David definitely did a lot last episode. And he's seeing demons, which in my opinion,
Oh, he leveled up.
He absolutely
he's leveling up because he's able to see demons. and he's doing the remote viewing.
And
I'm
possession.
just surprised he hasn't really compared notes with Sister Andrea right now. But I mean, I know this is their show. I gotta let them write it. But it just seems to me like this is definitely something he would bring to Sister Andrea. Like,
well, the thing was, he brought the demon on the bridge to Sister Andrea off screen.
Okay,
that was smart because, he saw the demon. He asked Ben if he saw the demon.
Ben was like, I don't see nothing.
But the girls had already made it clear Andrea's going to be in the next scene.
Yep. They were like, look, we want Andrea. We need Sister Andrea here now.
Now, there was really no storytelling point. This is like an editing thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If we had a scene where David goes over all the same info with Sister Andrea that one we saw just because the girls were like, no, we want the nun here. You know, what would that scene have looked like and not slowed down the pacing?
I get you. And it also gives us a chance to see the girls, their understanding and their experience changing in this show too.
Mm-hmm.
So I love when Sister Andrea comes in. She's no nonsense, and she's not mean. She's not arrogant. She just comes through. She's like, "Hey, look, this is what I see. This is what I got to do."
The truth is tamper resistant, and she
yeah.
is with the truth.
Yeah, she's not here. She's not trying to she's not trying to scam anybody or anything like that. She's just straightforward.
Now, speaking of the storytelling, did you notice the cinematic homages as much as I did?
Yeah. Like when they first opened the door.
Bro, this whole episode was one of the best love letters I have seen to the best horror movie ever made. And yeah, I will die on that hill. John Carpenter's The Thing was great. But The Exorcist freaks out grown men to this day.
The trip is, I've never seen it in full.
What?
I've never seen The Exorcist in full. The funny thing is, I saw the Exorcist movie this year though.
Wait, you saw the sequel, but you haven't seen the original?
No, I've never seen the original in full. I've seen clips and stuff. I've never seen the full. Yeah. I'm sorry, man. The runtime always scares me off.
Okay, number one,
it's just like
you're a horror movie fan.
It's just like the Godfather. The runtime always scares me off.
Bruh, stop being a millennial for a hot minute. I'm gonna tell you why. One, I can't believe I'm getting into this, but it's important because we brought it up. The runtime is super important because The Exorcist does something that horror movies don't do. Okay? Mm-hmm. And that's what that first hour is for. That first hour of runtime, you know what you get to do? You get to meet the characters and emotionally bond with them.
Okay.
And the changes with the exorcism happens very subtly at first. So you get to sit down and you get to watch it. And then you're going, all right, hold up. And it's not like what is it? It's not like, hey, there's something weird going on. Call an exorcist. You get to see a mother's desperation as something happens to her daughter that she can't explain. And then you get to see the medical test and you get to see the psychological stuff. You watch the characters go through every possible avenue of what it could possibly be that 1971 had to offer before the exorcism. You also get to meet, the trope of the priest that's losing his faith. You get to meet him and you get to see why he's losing his faith. And you get to see his life and what he struggles against. Like, you know these characters. So by the time you get to the legendary scene where the power of Christ will compel you, you are in it. You are 100%
The power of Christ compels you, boy.
Yeah, it's a meme now, but trust me. Just watch a reaction to it. I recommend EOM Reacts. That's Extraordinary Ordinary Media. James versus Cinema. I'm not sure if Media Nights did it, but yeah. And you will see why there are so many attempts to recapture that movie.
Okay.
Because, bruh, there was a study done where that movie actually reduced people's immune systems from watching it. And there was a lot of uproar because, bruh, especially you being a believer, bruh. And there were so many cinematic shots and homages to The Exorcist in this episode. Number one, it ain't never that foggy outside Kirsten's house.
It's been a little foggy, but like they took that fog to
to
next levels.
Yeah, I was expecting Father Merrick to be walking in, but no, it was Sister Andrea, and I'm like, you know what? She's a bit better. You know, the whole ritual scene where they're walking around the house with the candles, I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, that was
and
awesome.
I definitely got to give it up as an occultist. This season is showing what magic tends to look like. Because let's be real. All right, let's be real on this. Number one, when they threw the holy water in the bathtub and it started bubbling and smoking.
Yeah.
But Kirsten couldn't see the bubbling and smoking. Boom. That's what it looks like. The rituals with the candles, putting them in each room and turning off the lights. I'm like, this is what an exorcism is outside of the two priests that are chanting, you know. And Andrea's got the highest body count with the exorcisms on this show.
Oh boy. But you know what? I will, because I went to see the first Omen this year and I did like it. And matter of fact, I know a lot of people like, you see a ton of movies, you don't do movie reviews like that no more. Look, there's tons of stuff going on, but I'm gonna do something where I kind of run down everything I've seen this year, because I've seen everything. I just don't really get a chance. I've seen Dune 2, Godzilla, Ghostbusters, Kung Fu Panda 4, Monkey Man. I've seen everything.
Oh, you saw Afterlife?
Afterlife,
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta check that one.
I saw Afterlife, and then I saw Frozen Empire.
Frozen Empire. I gotta check that because I loved Afterlife.
So I've seen all the stuff, but yeah, the first Omen, I really like that one. I will say I really like that one.
Now
since I have a 6-year-old, it's a little harder for me to see watch the stuff I want to watch at home. But yeah,
I feel you, and that's the thing. You get into the religious horror movies of the 70s. And you notice they're not gory. They have 1 or 2 scenes of gore, 1 or 2 scenes of violence, but it's all psychological. Those movies were meant to shake you.
Yeah.
You leave the Omen and you're like, I'm sure. I don't know if that was the son of Satan or if it was just a bad kid or if it was just a crazy bunch of white people. I really don't know.
Yeah,
and that is so plausible.
Definitely. First, just the plot to First Omen is like, wow, so that's okay. I like it, but you just can't let these people get in rooms and make plans, because that's all I'm gonna say. And no one's in the room like, let's put a pin in that, but let's not do that.
That also means you gotta watch Rosemary's Baby. Then you have like the true 70s religious horror trilogy under your belt.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like the cinematic, the way they did this, walking around the room, especially opening the door, I enjoyed it. And then also having a lot of personal scenes in the home, it did a lot. It did a lot cinematically for me, I enjoyed this episode. This episode was well put together. I mean, Kristen she kind of bossed up a little bit because off of the cinematic homage part, Kristen talked to Leland for a second. And Kristen, when she got on that phone, she said, I know what you're worried about, what you're scared of or whatever. She said unity. Now, let me ask you, what do you think Kristen means by unity?
She knows that Leland is afraid that if that family gets together and turns on him, he will lose. And he knows that. He sees it. He knows it. It's there. We can move on from that. That is actually, that and the following scene are the things that really upset me about Kristen's writing this episode. Like real talk. I was real upset. Because, yeah, she's like, I know what you're afraid of, Leland. Unity! But the very next scene, she's distancing herself from Sheryl. I'm like, no, hold up.
Thank you.
Hold up. Yeah. See, now my black is coming out. See that?
Yeah,
I was hang on just a minute. You were just talking about unity, and now you're exiling your mom.
Yeah, or maybe that's just something that she said to like make Leland mad, but she was like, I'm still mad at you. But I would have,
which makes the character petulant, and that gets on my nerves.
And she's too old and smart to be well, no, she's not, but
not at all.
But I guess you're never too old to be petulant. But I mean,
I'm not getting stock tips from her. I'm saying that.
Yeah, but I would have liked, because Leland was ready to drop bombs. He was like, I'm ready to snitch, because how much unity you think would be in that house if he was like, Sheryl the reason Andy been gone.
He was about to drop that.
Yeah, he was about to drop that. So between that, I think it might have been cool if she was like, look, I'm mad at you, I'm leaving, but we'll talk in a few days when I get it together. And then maybe they can have their little come to Jesus moment, because she did say, I'm going to earn your trust back. I'm like, I don't know how you can.
See, my thing was,
because trust comes with honesty, and how honest are you about to be?
No, see, I
kidnapped Andy and kept him in a catatonic state or whatever.
See, my big thing with that particular scene, okay, the part that I didn't like was, I can't believe we're doing. We normally save the rewrites for the acolyte, but had I been writing that scene, when Sheryl got up and started apologizing, I would have written Kristen to be like, shh, we ain't cool, but I'm going after Leland and I need your help. After all this, we're done.
All right, cool.
I hate him and he stabbed you, so I'm betting you don't like him. So we gonna team up and we gonna take him down. And then after, maybe, possibly, if the clouds open up and the hand of God comes down and points specifically
somewhere
at
5 years from now,
we'll talk. But for right now, I'm still done with you. We got something to do. And I really hate that the boys is doing it better than evil.
Wow.
I mean, seriously. Spoilers for 2 seasons ago when Homelander and Butcher had to team up against another villain. But they just had this look of at each other while they were fighting the same guy. And see, that is where they could have gone with Kristen and Sheryl. Because Kristen has every reason to never talk to her mother again, except for the antagonist. And so it's very much, I'm not very Machiavellian, but in The Prince it says a former enemy will be more loyal to you than a friend ever will, because a former enemy will have to constantly prove to themselves that they are not your enemy, and we saw that in Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, we did.
So yeah, we could have had that moment, and we still might get that moment. But the hospital was the perfect setup for that.
Yeah, it was either the hospital or at the house, and we didn't get it nowhere.
So next week is when I decide where I'm at with Sheryl.
So you know what? I'll leave it at that then. Final thoughts, and where can they find you?
Final thoughts. If the writing on this show for this season had been like this from day one, this show would have gotten 10 seasons. Just fact. This last episode was amazing, and not just because I'm biased towards Sister Andrea, but because the writing is getting tighter and it's paying off a lot of what came before.
It's very clear that they're like, okay, we have like 7 or 8 episodes left. It's very clear the way they're writing it now. The way they're writing now, as opposed to the way they were writing in season 2 and 3, it's very clear. They're like, okay, we got like 8 or 9 episodes left, whatever it is, and we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, we don't want to Game of Thrones this. And if y'all want to hang out with me and talk with me about games and life and stuff, y'all can find me at twitch.tv/BID_P or at the Solar Gray YouTube channel. Just, let the people in your community know. All right. Join us. Become a Decker. Stay here. You can be both a Decker and a soul and a rider on the soul train over here. And let the people in the community know that we're here and we're talking about all sorts of stuff. Because I don't care where you come from, where you are, I see you. And as long as you act like you got some sense, I welcome you.
Yeah, that's what's up. All right, so I looked. We have 6 episodes to go because there's 2 episodes left in season 4. And then it says that the producers were given 4 extra episodes to conclude the story, which is set to premiere May 23rd, 2024. Of course, the extra 4 episodes started shooting at the end of March this year and wrapped at the end of May. So they're definitely, if they're doing any kind of social commentary, it's going to be extremely fresh. It's going to be new for them. And we've got 6 episodes left. So we going to see. We going to see how it goes. They say that the last 4 episodes it'll take like a week break and then come back with the last 4 episodes. So we will see. And it's being called a mini 5th season, but the bottom line is we got 6 episodes. So now, yeah, you can definitely see after How to Fly an Airplane, How to Dance in 3 Easy Steps, which is last week, and then of course How to Bandage a Wound was with this episode that we just watched. You can see that they're definitely writing it in a much tighter way.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely like, yeah, so we're at the end. We're wrapping it up. We're bringing this stuff to a head because 6 episodes is not a lot. Especially when we have like sigils and RSM fertility and then the evil ink and all, like there's a lot. But you know what? I'm here for these last 6 episodes. I've enjoyed the show. It's another X-Files baby, just like Fringe. So I enjoy it.
Let's hope it has a better ending than Fringe did.
Man, Fringe, maybe I should go back and watch Fringe. I don't remember loving the whole alternate reality thing, but I didn't super hate it. Oh, and shouts to Lance Reddick.
Yeah, pour one out, man.
But yeah, I'm ready for this show to really keep bringing it. If the last 2 episodes are indicative of the next 6, I'm ready. But with that said, NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. Guys, thank you for your support. Patreon people, the gift is coming up in the next couple of days. I got some gifts for y'all that are coming up for the last couple months and everything. And we got some Deadpool talk coming, and we got some anime stuff for the summer seasons coming up too. So until next time, we're just saying peace, stay real, and holla at y'all later.
Have a good night, guys.